In this tutorial, I will be teaching you how to paint a hummingbird and Mother Earth. These are the brushes that I will be using today, and I will have them in the description below. So I'm going to begin by using a 1-inch flat brush to do the background. I'm going to mix white with teal. You can make the background any shape you want to. You can even add a little bit of black in there just to make it seem a little bit gray if you wish. A lot of people freak out because they think that the background has to be the same color, and then it's really hard for me to try to get the same exact shade over and over again. So just try not to worry about it. By the way, I meant to start with a white canvas, but I like to upcycle canvases and paint them over black. You can start on a black one if you prefer, but I just think it's kind of convenient because at the same time I can also sketch out my image with chalk, so I can know like exactly where I want to paint the image. And as you can see that, you're gonna have to let it dry and go over it once, perhaps twice, depending on what kind of quality paints you're using. You definitely don't want to mess with it too much, because what will happen is that your paint will actually start to come off the canvas and it's gonna create like a really blotchy appearance, and you don't want that. So just try to cover up as much as you can. And I just went over the beak, and that's okay. Sorry guys, I need to get like a better table because right now I'm actually painting in my kitchen. I use my kitchen island as my easel sometimes. I need that flat countertop space. Alright, and paint the sides too. If you're not going to frame this, I highly recommend you paint the sides. I'm not going to worry too much about this over here because I'm actually planning on making some hair kind of flow down there. And I'm going to lift this up and just paint that edge there. By the way, be very careful when you're doing this because I see a lot of people accidentally get paint on their clothes. So if you're going to do it like this, you know, wear some clothes that you don't care about. All right, now I'm going to let this dry. To speed up the process, you're more than welcome to use a hair dryer. I see a lot of people do that. Or if you want to wait for 10-15 minutes, that's fine too. But me, I'm just gonna go and use the blow dryer. All right, now that we're dry, I'm gonna mix up these colors again and apply them right on using the same 1-inch flat brush. And you don't have to use expensive brushes to start with, but you don't want to use ones that are too cheap either, as they wear out faster. Sometimes the bristles are of bad quality and don't really allow you to get into as much detail sometimes. Do not be worried about any imperfections in your background, as they're gonna, majority of it is going to get covered by flowers and stuff like that. So you're more than welcome to make your background your own, and it doesn't have to be the same brand of color paint that I'm using. It doesn't have to be the same color. You could do teal, gray, just whatever. You gotta make sure you get these little black texture spots on your canvas. I don't really have an image that I'm working off of. A friend of mine just really liked this. She found it online. I'm just kind of like remaking it into my own version. It doesn't have to be exactly like what somebody else painted. I hate to steal the original ideas that belong to somebody else. Again, I'm just painting over that edge there a second time, won't hurt. By the way, I'm using Master's Touch, and this color is called Viridian. I don't know why they just don't call it teal. Gotta make all these fancy names for all these different colors. I just think it frustrates me so bad when you have to lift up the edge of your canvas and then you end up getting paint on you. Just make sure you're wearing clothes that you don't care about if you're not used to painting. Because once it's on there and you let it dry, it's not going to come out. At least that's what I think. Because I've gotten paint on my clothes, and even though it's not waterproof, it could still be very difficult to get your clothes back to the way they were. Okay, so now that I'm finished, I'm using the Apple Barrel brand now for the white. Typically I like to use Master's Touch titanium white because of the fact that their white covers a lot more ground, whereas this one is a little bit transparent. You may need to use it in a couple of coats to get it to cover, but I still like to use it. It's a lot cheaper, that's why. Okay, let me mix white. You still, mind you, you still have a little bit of blue on your brush, and that's fine. You just want to barely grab some black. And it will give your painting a lot of texture. I'm basically going to be trying to paint a statue over here, like the bust of a statue. You know, some people use them as planters. Kind of grab the edge there and pull away from you. That's the technique that I like to use. When we paint with acrylics, we always go from dark to light. So you add your dark shadows first, and then you go over it again using a lighter color. I just grabbed some white there. Add some black. I want to grab some black, really dark gray actually. And I'm just gonna kind of go like this. Kind of just give like a wave. Now what I like to do next is, if you do not have this brush, it is very hard to find actually. I got mine online. It's Princeton Select, and it's basically called the round scrub brush or something like that. What it says on here is Select Deerfoot. Trying to think of what else you can use if you don't have this. You could probably use like a stencil brush maybe. You can dry brush. Let me see how it works. because I hate to tell you guys to do something and it not work out for you. But I guess that does work. It works really well. The bristles, you do not add water. You might have to add just a little tiny bit if you feel like your paints are getting too dry. But basically this works great for blending and adding those light accents that I was talking about when you go from dark to light. But at the same time, you don't want to scrub too hard because you're going to get paint off your canvas. And these bristles are like kind of tough. They're very stiff, actually. They're just synthetic hair. Oh, that's not good. See, that's what I was talking about when you, actually I think I'm gonna cover that up with a piece of flower or something, a flower petal. I've never had that happen to me before. Just adding a little bit of black here because I feel like I lost my dimension. Definitely you want to add some black to make it look like she's got cheekbones. I feel like this is very tacky, so I'm about to stop messing with it for now. Okay. I think I want to let this dry before I start. You know what? I actually do need to. This time I'm picking up a filbert, and what I need to do is that I need to start by going in with these spots here that I didn't cover. Kind of try to make a shape of her lips there. Keep in mind that this is a statue, so it does have to have some kind of texture. I'm not trying to get my lines fully blended, because I think at the end I want to do something cool, like add a little bit of green whatchamacallit, moss or something on the side of the statue to make it look like it's kind of aged. I think it might be kind of cool. Add a little bit of black underneath her chin there. I have a little bit of white at the edge of my brush here. use the side of your brush when you're doing this. The center of the forehead always has a high point, and you're always going to see in paintings, photographs, that the forehead is always going to be a lighter shade. Around the eyebrows, though, is a different story. That's where you start seeing some shadow. Add a little bit of black here. I'm gonna go in and try to add a little bit of purple. Mix it in with white and black. So I have like a really light purple here. And I'm just gonna kind of get it on her there. And I'm going to use this to swish it around. And this is where I like to use my blending brush. When you see that you're losing your dimension, you definitely want to add a darker color and try not to overpower it once again. So I hope you guys are not stressing out too bad, because I know I do sometimes when the paint doesn't go exactly as I want. By the way, I just picked up a little bit of teal that was on my plate, mixed it in with the gray that I already had, and see, I get like a different tone here. No, it looks like she's eye mugging that hummingbird. You can leave her eye closed if you want. I think I want to try to make it look like the statue is actually coming to life. You add some white there. And the thing about eyes is that you think that it's just going to be white, but it doesn't work that way. There is actually like a lot of different colors in eyes. Like I see there's like some gray and white. So very lightly you want to kind of dust in some gray there, white and then gray, or vice versa. I know I always said you work from dark to light, but sometimes I break the rules. I just kind of let the painting talk to you, and you're the judge. You get to see what's appealing to you as you're painting, because that's what happens to me too. And I always love to paint with texture. So you're gonna see me purposely making these little marks and stuff on my canvas. Okay, I got some black. And I'm very lightly kind of making some arches for her eyebrows there. You can do it one stroke, or you can do it like me and just kind of let your brush drag along the edge of the canvas there. I want to add a little bit of kind of that dark gray here too. Underneath the lip there is always a shadow, so try to make that present. And here too, underneath the nose, also very important that you add a little bit of shadow. You're gonna try to lighten up her chin a little bit. It kind of went off the grid here. Yeah, sometimes I like to use two brushes at the same time when I paint. You know, one to fix what I ruined with the other one. I just have a weird technique. Like I said, what works for me may not work for others and may confuse the heck out of you, but I just really love this brush for blending. It really helps a lot. More than if I was using, you know, like another filbert, another flat chisel blender. It just doesn't create the same effect. I love using this brush. So if you really get into painting and or finding yourself frustrated when it comes to blending, this brush is awesome. I think I ordered it from the brushguys.com. They sponsor all the brushes for Angela Anderson when she teaches her acrylics tutorial on YouTube as well. You're gonna try to add some black here. Your filbert, of course, it's watered down. I liked her lips the way they were before. I'm gonna fix it with my blender. I'm gonna get back to that in a minute here. I'm just making it darker and darker and losing my dimension. She had really nice lips and I fudged it up, trying to be a perfectionist. Okay, so you barely have any black, or should I say gray, on your brush when you start doing this, but You feel like you go too dark, like I said, you just gotta go over it with your blender and try to blend it out. Add some white here. This time I'm going to use my pointer brush, my fine line detail brush. And this one's cheap. I can't tell you where I got it from because somebody gave it to me for free. But I used to always get Master's Touch, and this is a lot. You can tell this is generic as heck, but this works a lot better than Master's Touch. So I'm adding a bit of a highlight to her lips. I think her lips were too dark. And then I try to smooth it out with a little bit of gray. And you're just kind of dabbing it in. You're not really brushing it in, you're dabbing it in. There, now it looks like she's got lip gloss. That's nice. I got that gray. Kind of going like this. Adding to her nostril there. And you barely, it's a very, lips are kind of tricky, but I always think they're fun. Like my favorite thing to do. I don't like doing noses that much. I always seem to have a dislike for doing noses, but like I say, you can keep it kind of abstract, and I have like black that's a little watered down. Just kind of try to create the shape there. Even under here too, just barely kind of wisp it on there. Kind of try to barely let it catch on your canvas there. We'll use this round brush. You can also use your finger to kind of spread it around. It's kind of hard for me to tell when I'm right up on it. You might want to stand back and see if there are any features that you think need to be sorted through, because I think that my chin needs to be bigger on her. So I'm gonna try to see if I can pull this off. Kind of just want to expand her jawline there. I'm gonna add some softer gray undertones here. Let's be a little bit dark right there. to add a little bit of shadow to her forehead there. I'm going to add some white there. I think her cheekbone needs it too. Like I said, you're just not really painting at this point. You're just kind of dabbing it on there, kind of like you're trying to clean your brush off or something on a napkin. Okay, I'm really liking how she's turning out. And my purpose is not to make it look over the top realistic. I just really want to add a lot of texture to her, because you know it's a statue, and for some reason I think statues are so beautiful when they have a lot of patina to them. It speaks a lot. So I'm just gonna grab some black and just kind of like swish it out there and use this. I don't want to give her big ginormous eyelashes, but just like the indication that she does have eyelashes. I know statues don't have eyelashes, but she's an exception. It's like she's coming to life. Underneath people's eyes, they always have like these weird wrinkles. So that's what I was doing to her there. I'm gonna add some white here. Eyes, they always have a glow to them. That's all you need. Maybe a little bit of white up here. Maybe like a little dab up here. Just kind of blend that cheekbone a little bit. Her chin too. Adding just a little bit of purple here. You don't have to if you're satisfied with yours. I was just feeling like it was losing a little bit of dimension there. And now it looks too purple. This is my problem. I always try to mess with something that a lot of people are like, hey, you look fine. Oh. I wanted to make it look like she's just faintly got her corner of her mouth turned up, like she's um, happy. I don't want to make her look like a grumpy statue. And I'm just kind of just adding some texture lines with this black. So now you can make sure it's kind of watered down like this. I don't like to use it directly from the pigment because then it's too pasty and I can't move it around much. You can also use a fan brush for this step. I just feel like a smaller brush gives me more control, whereas a fan brush, it's just kind of like all over the place. But we'll try it and see how that goes. I'm gonna get some black, mix it in with some white. So we got kind of like a medium gray here. And just kind of move it like so. You want to make sure that you have a different variety of colors on your brush because that's ultimately what's going to give you that dimension that you need in your painting. So as I got some white here, I'm going to kind of just select where I put it. Make it look like her hair is curly. And what I just did there, you probably shouldn't do. That's way too dark. Just soften it up with some gray. And then just soften it up with a little bit of white. Just to kind of make it look like your hair is glowing. Okay, so now we're going to focus our attention on the hummingbird. And the hummingbird, I think I want to make it like kind of like a green. So I'm gonna get out my blue. See how this turns out. This is sky blue, and the brand I'm using is Master's Touch. I think I'm gonna try to use a phthalo green if I can find it. I found my phthalo green. It's stuck. Haven't used it in a long time, you can tell. Okay, so we're gonna water it down and mix it in with that sky blue. It wouldn't hurt to mix it up with a little bit of white either. You wanna see what we got? Yeah, you definitely wanna go a little darker on that. You don't want it to mix with your background. Now, if you lost your sketch of the bird, you can, before you do this step, you can draw it back in with chalk or use a watercolor pencil if you'd like. And I'm using my filbert for this step. And I'm kind of just trying to make it abstract. Again, not trying to go full force into detail. I think I'm gonna add like a little bit of purple here, just to give it like a pop of color. And just kind of like fade it out. Do the same thing with its tail feathers there. Okay, now the wings are going to be gray. So I'm mixing up some gray, and I'm just kind of going like this. Sometimes I feel like the wings also have like the smallest hint of purple, so you're more than welcome to throw in a little bit of purple as well. And you want to make sure that there's enough paint on your brush or this is not going to work. Also, hummingbird has like a little, what do you call it, pattern on the plumage here, where it's actually its wing. Do the same thing here. I just kind of have some white left over on my brush. If you're not used to painting birds, I highly suggest that you print out some kind of paper, some kind of reference to type in hummingbirds in flight. I'm just kind of doing this because I've been around birds for the majority of my life. So painting them comes more natural to me. I'm gonna get a white and kind of just faintly mix it in with some of this purple I have on my plate and just kind of give these wings a highlight. Just kind of like just tap in that white. I mixed in some of that white with that phthalo green just to kind of give that bird a bit of dimension. By the way, I just mixed a little bit of black and a little bit of that sky blue with the teal. Maybe this was not exactly what a hummingbird's wings look like, so I'm taking my filbert and kind of just spreading it out so it looks more natural. I'm going to need to put a little bit more teal on my plate because I already used it all. And I'm going to just kind of go around the edge here before I paint my beacon. Kind of gives me like a cleaner image of where I want the beak at actually. Add a little bit of purple there. A little bit of that phthalo green again. Trying to add a little bit of texture, especially here where it has its little feet hanging out. It's kind of got that black and kind of just very, very lightly wisping the feathers. I've got some burnt sienna here, and I'm going to mix it with some black. And this is what I'm going to use for the hummingbird's beak. Again, you want to make sure that it's watered down enough, not too much to where it's transparent, but watered down enough where it allows you to spread it with that fine pointy brush. And you're just going to go like this. Just like that. Make the eye. And the little feet. You know, add a little bit of white there, just like a little highlight. Same here. And add a little bit of dark black right there in the middle. And then get a little bit of white. Just make like a tiniest dot. And I think that's it for the hummingbird. You know, add a little bit of white here too on its crest. I noticed that their feathers are always like very shiny and they pick up the light when you see them flying. Okay, we are nearly done. We're just gonna paint a big flower here in her hair because it's like the hummingbird is flying towards her flower. I think we're going to use a yellow ochre. Again, this is Master's Touch. And keep in mind whenever you use yellow, you always want to mix it in with some white. Because if you put yellow directly on your canvas, it's not going to show up that good. And I will do a demonstration of what exactly I'm trying to show you. Okay, so here's that yellow. And unless you use a high quality brand, this is what you're going to get. Well, I guess that's not that bad. Okay. Well, if you did use a bad brand, like let's say Apple Barrel, it's going to be transparent. You're definitely going to want to add some white. Okay, so I do my yellow ochre first at the base, and then I get a little bit of white. Again, use this filbert. It's very important when you're working with flowers. I'll add. There we go. Now here I feel like I want to add a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to have to mix in a little bit of that burnt sienna with my yellow ochre just to get it to darken up. This brand of paint does go a long way, so you don't need to use a lot of it to get what you want. I feel like that is way too dark. So you want to go in with some yellow ochre. There we go. I kind of accidentally got my brush into some phthalo green, so that explains that mess. And I actually don't really like this flower, so I think I'm gonna have to scrub some of it off and kind of redo it. You know, be gentle about it when you do this. You don't want to scrub too hard. It's gonna get too much more paint off than you wanted. All right. Well, guys, this was fun and it was nice painting with you. Again, I apologize for the bad setup I have over here. But I hope you understood the concept I was trying to teach. Sometimes when it comes to certain things, all you have to remember is if a area is too dark, you want to slowly start adding in some light. And it's not just one color, it's not just two colors, but it's a variety and it's a blend of different colors at the same time, because here in the gray, it's not just gray. There was a little bit of purple I added. It was like a little bit of teal, and gradually that's how you build it up. And well, this was nice. Anyway, I got carried away. Let me know what you think, and if I could be of any help to any issues that you're experiencing, I'd be glad to answer them. These were the brushes that I used today. I used my pointy fine liner brush. I used my scrub brush. I used a fan brush. I used a filbert, and I used a 1-inch flat brush. Half of the brushes I'm holding in my hand are generic. But like I said, you don't have to get expensive brushes to do this. All right, thanks guys.